We're good?
Yep.
Alrighty. Hi everybody. We're live here. It's Friday. Oh man, and it's been quite a week for us here at Graphite Lab, and I'm happy to be going into this. Ooh, is that me full screen?
Yes.
Ooh, fancy. Happy to be going into this holiday weekend, July 4th here in the States. But you know what? Can't go into Independence Day without one more stream from your old pal, John Mikula, game director of Mr. Run and Jump. A game we'll be playing, but this stream is going to be a little different. This stream is going to be kind of like, almost kind of like a visual story time, where I'm going to kind of walk us through maybe the history of early Run and Jump and go through some of the games that are directly kind of led to the inspiration of the modern version of Mr. Run and Jump, and kind of how everything all coalesced and kind of came to be. So hopefully this will be kind of an interesting, kind of different type of stream. I'm here solo this time. Usually Matt Rathel, the studio director of Graphite Lab, is here with me, but not this time. Hopefully next Friday he will be here. So with that kind of preamble, I figure let's get into maybe the first game we kind of want to talk about. Just pulling it up here. Here we go. Turn the audio down. Okay. Here we go. We have Mr. Run and Jump. You know, Mr. Run and Jump. This is the original version of Mr. Run and Jump. I have this running on an emulator. This is the game that I made, you know, way back years ago on for the Atari 2600. Here I'm going to get us past the thumping beats here. There's Leap, everyone's favorite dog, Leap. There we go. We're in the game. So this is the game. You know, I was working on this game years ago, years before we even kind of had like a working relationship with Atari. Here we good. We got technical difficulties.
Game has no sound.
Gotcha.
Desktop.
I saw something coming out of audio input capture.
Audio input captures our mic.
Okay, gotcha.
Hi, by the way.
Well, while Cat's messing with the audio, there's not much audio. Well, actually, we're clicked off of the game. I can't actually control it. But so, Run and Jump was a game I was kind of working on very much as a side project years ago. Maybe around like 2015 or 2016, I first started working on this game. And it was very much, at the time, I was playing a lot of NES games, which sounds, you know, here we still having audio problems.
We can hear you fine.
Okay,
There's just
cool.
no sound from the game.
Well, there's not much, you know, it's not like there's music or anything happening in Run and Jump Classic. So as long as the other games are okay, you know, I think this will be fine. But here, let me click back on here. There we go. So Run and Jump, yeah, maybe around 2015 or 2016. I was playing a lot of NES games because at the time I was kind of considering those to be like the classics right? Like I was kind of obsessed at the time with going through and playing some of the classics, uh, I guess of my generation, right? Because I got into games with the PlayStation 1. I was born in 93. So, uh, I didn't even own a 2600 you know, until maybe I started doing this project. But, so to me, gaming classics were things like Mario and Zelda and stuff, Metroid, Castlevania, Mega Man. So I was collecting all these carts and playing them on an actual NES, trying to finish things as I could. Um, and naturally, I think as you kind of steep yourself in a certain type of media, you just kind of naturally start coming up with ideas for that media you're currently immersed in. So I was, that's all to say. I was playing a lot of NES stuff, and I was like, what would it be like to play or to make an NES game? Um, and so I came up with a bunch of like a couple different ideas for like what would be a good NES game I could make theoretically. And I'm a programmer by trade. That's primary job at Graphite Lab as I do programming. So I started digging into the homebrew scene, which is like homebrew is like if you in this context is you making games for old consoles. So NES homebrew would be me at home making a game for an old console like that, making old ROMs that run on old hardware. Uh, so digging into it, there's a vibrant, thriving scene, a lot of really talented people putting out a lot of great resources for how to develop your own homebrew. And I dug into that, and I'm like, this isn't too crazy. I think I have enough know-how. I can actually maybe kind of make some of this work. But so I was looking at NES, and as I would read more of the forums and stuff like that, I found people were talking about the Atari 2600 and being like, it was kind of something like, here's this kind of infamous programming challenge. Like if you really, if you really want to do something, or it was like, here's this thing. It's like, here's just this, NES is one thing, but the Atari, I mean, that's a whole other beast. And I at the time I was younger and dumber and looking for a challenge, looking for something I could really sink my teeth into. But my thought was, this was me at the time. I was like, here, I'll do something simple for the 2600, just to kind of get my feet wet, in the whole homebrew space. And I'll do that, and nothing too fancy, just to kind of prove I can do it. I'll spend a couple months working on that, and then I'll get on to like the NES, which is what I really want to do. And I had kind of grand plans. I'm like, oh, maybe after that I'll do an SNES game or a Genesis something, and then maybe I'll get to the PlayStation, and that'd be cool. So really, the Run and Jump was kind of meant as like this kickoff for like my whole kind of old console development plan that since hasn't really taken off, because the project that would become Mr. Run and Jump was, it turns out the forums weren't lying. It is very hard to put together a game on the 2600. So the project that wound up being Mr. Run and Jump, just to get like the foundations of it, just to get something rendering the screen, took months of reading through old manuals and learning assembly code and things like that, just to get something up and running. And then from there, it's kind of like years worth of very on and off development time. Here's something that's not in the new game is ladders. We have ladders in classic Run and Jump. Check that out. But so it wound up being, what was I talking about? I got distracted by the ladders. Here's the first Skullkin in classic Run and Jump. But boy, let's get around here. Whoops. So as you can see, similar to the modern game, one-hit KOs. This one takes you back to the beginning of the world, right? So I run into a spike, go all the way back here. So we kind of, I take this kind of series of screens like this and turn them into, you know, here's almost like one big level. So yeah, run and jump on them taking kind of years of on and off. It'd be like I'd spend, you know, I'd spend like a month being like, I should really finish that thing, spend a little bit of time on it, then put it back down again, and kind of excuse me. And it wasn't until like a few years ago that I finally kind of got everything buttoned up to where I was happy enough with it, and I'm like, I'm really like, you know, here, this is good enough. I think I'm going to bundle the ROM with an emulator, make some kind of launcher for the whole thing, and put that whole package on Steam. And really thinking of it more of like a, you know, this is something like I'll play, and this is something maybe a couple friends play, and if I get like 100 downloads, I'd be happy with that. You know, I'd be lucky to get, you know, 100 downloads. But then it was around that time that Graphite Lab, you know, the stars aligned in some way, and we started working on a little game called Combinera. Here we go. We got to the end of the blue world. Classic doesn't have a violet world, it just has a blue world. There's another fun kind of tidbit. And then you kind of climb this ladder up, and then there's Leap again. Off he goes. So, you know, I'm not going to play too much more of Classic. But we'll probably do, maybe we'll do another stream at some point, really digging into Classic. And we can dig into maybe some of the technology, you know, how to make a 2600 game. But for the time being, I want to close this out and get into Combinera. I'm going to take that down. Close this. Get into here. We got this on the wrong screen. But you guys can still see it. Screen, and I'm actually going to drop this down quite a bit. Okay, there we go. Hopefully everyone can see and hear that. It looks like you guys can see it. Hopefully the audio looks good over here. Let us know in chat if anyone's having any problems. Whoops. There we go. But Combinera is a game that Graphite Lab made with Atari. This one was kind of headed up by Phil Snowbarger and Jacob Lear, where Phil Snowbarger was on the stream a few weeks ago. He wound up doing lead art for Run and Jump, and then Jacob was a level designer on Run and Jump as well. But those two guys kind of cooked up Combinera as a well, what's it called? A game jam. So we had this game, a game jam game that we, you know, even in that state, you know, a game jam is like you make a game over 48 hours or some kind of really limited time frame. So we had this project, and you know, we kind of shopped it out to our various partners, and And Atari was interested, and they came back to us and they said, hey, you know, if we got, you know, X amount of dollars involved, you know, can we take this project and turn it into something? And we're like, you know, hell yeah, we can. So that's kind of how Common Era, you know, Common Era was a project that I wasn't super involved in. I played the Game Jam version, but I wound up only really working on the Xbox port of Common Era. But so here, let's dig into it. So you have something a little more interesting to look at while I ramble on about, you know, Common Era. It's been a minute. I haven't actually played this game in a while. There we go. There's the intro. I remember being on, I want to say I was on like winter break. Here's Common Era puzzle platformer. You control these circles. We move around, and then the goal is to take all the circles and kind of merge them into each other. So it's kind of this quick hits kind of puzzle platformer. And you know, as the game goes on, it gets more complicated from here, but and then there's around like a couple hundred levels. Oh yeah, and then we get to here. Only, you know, if the white circle touches the red, you know, you can't get through it, but the red can touch the red. And there we go. A few simple puzzle mechanics. I was saying, I remember being on like winter break. I took a couple weeks off around Christmas time one year, and we have an internal Slack chat for Graphite Lab. And I remember during that time, I want to say it was during that time, but someone posted, someone who was actively working on Common Era posted kind of an update video for the project, where I see it largely in this form, and I'm like, hey, you know, I remember being really impressed by it. I was like, hey, actually, because we hadn't quite made anything quite like this at the time, you know, with this kind of heavy post-processing effects and just all these nice little like particle effects and little nice touches like this. And I'm like, this rocks. Like, yeah, we got Blue Hound in the chat. Seeing this being played makes you want to play it again. Hell yeah, man. I'm right there with you. So I was looking at Common Era, and I'm like, this is great. I think, you know, just with the critical eye, I'm like, man, you know, what could be cool is like, instead of controlling little circles like this, you had like a little character. Like, it could just be a little all white kind of abstract little guy that would move around and jump and just lightly animate. And I think when you have something you can personify, it can help grow your kind of connection to a game like this. And not to say like, you know, the circles are bad or that the circles don't have their own little personality, which I think they do. But that was my thought at the time, like looking at it, and I'm like, man, you know, if you had like a little all white guy and like, you know, there's a bunch of them and they'd all come together, and maybe when they combine, they do like a little like, you know, like fist bump in the air. I'm like, that could be cute, and that could be like a great direction for this game. But I'm like, you know, actually, I have been working on a game with a little abstract all-white character, and then the wheels start turning, right? Where I'm like, like, is there a world where we take this, you know, art direction that we are, you know, getting pretty good with, and merge it with Mr. Run and Jump? And I'm like, yeah, would Atari be into that idea? And so I remember sending like a big long Slack message to Matt Rathel, my boss, and being like, hey, check it out. You know that thing I've been doing on the side? What if we did that? And we take this and, kind of mash them together like that. And what do you think? And that was kind of the initial proposal for Mr. Run and Jump. That's kind of what we sent to Atari to sell them on the idea. So in addition to this, we always kind of wanted to keep Run and Jump as a platformer. It wasn't like, what if we took Run and Jump the character and put him into Era? It was like, we want to take this aesthetic and make a new game, a new platformer that is like a spiritual successor to the classic 2600 version of Run and Jump. And with that, I was thinking about the mechanics of Run and Jump Classic and how they translate to modern. Here, I'm here stalling. Okay, I remember how to do this. That, like that. There we go. Thinking about the mechanics of old Run and Jump and how they translate into a modern game. So we have, it's a fairly simple game, classic Run and Jump. You can run, you can jump. There's the rainbow themed levels. There's one-hit kills. But that one-hit kills kind of, a modern parallel is kind of that nouveau kind of precision platformer, something like Meat Boy or Celeste. And Celeste is actually going to be the next game we're going to play here on kind of this smorgasbord of games we're going to talk about. Let me get Celeste open over here. Truly a game that needs no introduction. Maybe that. Well, but Celeste has kind of become like a modern classic. Here, I have to switch monitors on this real quick. One second. Get this over here. And then turn that on. Okay. So, you can see my save file here. Like, I really love platformers. Celeste, I think. Oh, here we'll just we'll restart chapter. Celeste is one I didn't play until kind of recently. It's like it's such a popular game that I knew of it, of course, like I was familiar of it through cultural osmosis and all that, but it was something I didn't actually get around to playing for kind of whatever reason. Like, no, like I of course knew of it, and I knew how popular it had become and how, it did look very good, but I don't know, just kind of missing some spark of interest for whatever reason. But really, we have... Maybe that was too quiet. We'll do like that. That sounds good. Between the one-hit kills and kind of the... we're going to take a single screen's worth of real estate and turn it into a platforming challenge. It was kind of like the mechanical equivalent, so to say, of classic Run and Jump, or at least you could draw those parallels. And so whenever you can take a super popular game like this and be like, hey, we want to do something like this with this other popular thing, that's always a nice way to sell that to somebody. But it wasn't really about selling the game. It just kind of made sense from my perspective. It was like, hey, let's take a look at this and let's see what we can do. And so I played like the first 3 chapters of this. I've kind of resisted playing it since we started working on Run and Jump, just out of like, I don't want to play this game and then be like subconsciously really influenced by it. I kind of want Run and Jump to have its own voice. So the broad strokes I think are very similar to Celeste, but I think the down and dirty mechanics of both games are fairly different. Oops. But yeah, so I certainly played a lot, and I don't know if that was a, it's tough to say if that's like a smart decision, right? Like, do you want to play the really popular, highly regarded thing just so you know about it? Like, clearly they're doing something right. But I don't know, I guess that's kind of just been my style. I never want to mimic anything too closely. So I played enough of it to get, a good understanding of kind of, I think, what makes this game shine. But yeah, didn't want to rip it wholeheartedly. But that said, man, like Celeste, it's earned its reputation. Like it's truly wonderful. Like our challenge rooms are kind of ripped off of this idea of like, hey, here's kind of off the beaten path. Our challenge orbs were almost directly analogous to these strawberries. And really do that. The move set of Celeste is so very smart. It is, because it's like, okay, you have your one jump and then you have your dash, but your dash can take you in 8 different directions. So with kind of just those 2 buttons, you're able to have one jump turn into 8 potential possibilities once you're in midair. And so because you get that omnidirectional dash like that, it lets you both, it gives you a move set that's easy to grasp, easy to learn, and then you're able to span both heights, like if you need more height vertically in your jump, or if you need to span a greater distance. You cover both of those bases with one game mechanic. So that was something in run and jump. Like I thought for a long time of what I wanted the mechanics to be, right? Like what I wanted your moveset to be and how it could be expressive. And we wound up, that ability to jump farther, but also jump higher if you need to, was kind of the impetus for our crouch, roll, long jump, and crouch, high jump technique. And then dash was kind of a little sprinkling on top. But those options give you, hey, if you need to span farther distances, long jump, you need to go higher, go high jump, double jump and dash kind of get sprinkled in there. And there you go. That was kind of, so with this kind of good modern parallel, kind of as like a guidepost, that was kind of, that acted as kind of the fuel that we pumped into run and jump, helped us get the game off the ground. But I wanted to bring up another game that is another big influence on run and jump for different reasons. So I'm going to we'll get out of here. And we are going to load up the old PlayStation 1 that I mentioned here earlier in the stream. I think you guys can hear it. I think you guys can see it. It's my boy Crash. Everybody look out. Crash Bandicoot. So we're here playing Crash Bandicoot 3 specifically. Because now, like I said, I'm an old PlayStation 1 fan, right? Like that was my console as a kid. So naturally, I'm a fan of Crash Bandicoot. And even though I think here of the 3, let's get into it, of the 3 classic Crash Bandicoot games, 1, 2, and 3, 3 is maybe my least favorite. Too many gimmicks. You got jet skis, you got planes, you got racing, you got a couple others. You got the Pura levels. The platforming, great, amazing. But I don't want to, you know, I don't want to do like underwater. Ugh. But anyway, but you could see here as I step on these level markers, you could see we have crystals, gems, and relics. The blue thing is a relic. And so each one of these collectibles is obtained through a different... Here, we'll see. Crash. We're gonna skip all the deep lore, all the story. But each one of the primary collectibles for each level is obtained through a different way, you know, where the crystal's kind of the primary thing. It's just found in the level. And we'll just kind of pick it up naturally as we go along. The gem, you have to break all the boxes. Here, just get that. And then the relic, you have to play the level again, but you have to speed run it, and you have to get under a certain par time. So you could see, like, that is kind of the structure that I wanted to mimic for Run and Jump, because I think it's really smart. I think it turns one level into 3 levels, basically, where, you know, just getting from start to end of a level is kind of your easy mode. It is, you know, just your direct mainline path. You go, you get the crystal. You know, we don't have crystals in Run and Jump, but you go, you get that, you know, you can progress on to the next level. You get the gem. The gem unlocks bonus levels and unlocks, you know, 100%, like stuff like that. And it's a little harder, right? Because not only do you just have to dodge enemies and get through the level, you then have these, like, you know, boxes everywhere, and you have to go through and you know, they'll be gated behind little mini challenges. They'll be gated behind enemies. They'll be in hard to reach spots. You have to do special platforming to get them. It becomes, getting all the boxes is kind of like this level's hard mode, which was kind of the mantra I was using as we were going through Run and Jump. You know, Run and Jump, we get through the mainline playthrough. You know, in order to get through each of the levels, you have to beat the level before it. And then if you get all the shards, you get the Shattered Orb, which I've described in the past. Getting all the shards is kind of like those levels hard mode. And then you can come back and replay the level, do a time trial, and then get the relic. So there we go. So in that run, I was just kind of playing it pretty fast, but we got a crystal and a gem in there. And so now that we've beaten the level once, I can go back and play it again, do a time trial, and collect the relics as well. Here, skip the floating heads talking to you. We're just going to do this again. I'm going to show off this game's time trial mode. So similar idea. Here's a clock in the level now. We've beaten it once. We come back. Here's a clock at the beginning. Pick that up. We start the time trial. And here, going fast and Crash is very different from going fast and Run and Jump. You know, they kind of do a interesting thing where some of the boxes turn into these little time stopper things where, you know, Run and Jump, we just ask the player to get a little better at platforming and just, you know, master the moveset a little bit harder and just naturally go through it faster. I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can. So I've mentioned in, you know, on Twitter and maybe on like the Atari Discord, this game being an influence for me. And then people are like, Crash Bandicoot? Nah, no way. Like, you know, I don't see it, you know. But really, yeah, it's not so much in the platforming itself, though there are some parallels I could talk about, but really it is this level structure. And I know like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze does this idea very well, where it's like you play a level, you get the Kong letters, that's kind of one gameplay experience. You do it again, you get the puzzle pieces, that's kind of a different gameplay experience, and then you can play it again, do a time trial, and that's your third gameplay experience. So again, it's maximizing your like a single level, turning it into 3 levels basically. Here we'll just, oops. Well, here. My middle initial is Q now. Oh, here. No, I just go back. There we go. Oops. So we don't have to get too in the weeds here with Crash Bandicoot. But the other thing I kind of like about this game, you have to unlock some of your moves in this game, so I can't show it off totally. But at the start, we do have a, you know, you could run, you can jump, and then you can crouch. And with the crouching, you can crawl like this. But if you're crouching and move, or sorry, if you're moving and then you hit crouch, you do the slide technique. And then if you jump while you're sliding, you get kind of this long, you know, it's higher than your average jump. Same thing, you can crouch and then jump and then do a high jump kind of stationary like that. So it does mimic, or I guess we mimic this a little bit, you know, the run, you know, crouch and jump to kind of give you those 2 options I was talking about earlier, where you have, you know, hey, I need to go higher, you know, here's your high option, and then I need to go farther, here's your far option. And this game does give you a double jump later on, and it does give you, you can like spin really rapidly and float for a while. So there are a couple more moves you unlock later on that do expand your kind of jump arsenal, but really Crash 4 does a really wonderful job of taking, you know, they have very similar mechanics, but taking these kind of jump move sets and asking the player to chain them together in a way that feels like a jumping puzzle almost, which is something I really enjoyed. Something an aspect of this game I really wanted to capture with run and jump. But with that, we're about 40 minutes into the stream. So, you know, we've been on quite the journey, right? We got Run and Jump Classic, we got Bandicoots, we got Celeste. So with that, we have some of our primary influences, and you know, I don't want to dig in too much of the weeds with any one of them. We try to keep these streams about an hour long, so I'm going to actually quit out of this. We're going to play some proper modern Mr. Run and Jump, and maybe kind of, you know, now that we kind of have all this history here, I could probably just quit out of that. Now we have all this history, we can look at the game with a refreshed perspective and pick out all the influences that have coalesced, you know, the soup that has come together to make this modern version of Mr. Run and Jump. There we are. You guys are seeing it. So yeah, here we are. Here we'll be Miss Run and Jump this time. We'll just play. We're gonna keep sticking with the first world, but I was thinking I would play 1-Void. I played it a couple weeks ago. We played it on the last stream when we were talking about speedrunning. But I wanted to take a look at this level again because I really like this level. This is a level where we introduce the Void, which is kind of the primary antagonist of Mr. Run and Jump. There it is. It's kind of this wall of death that's going to follow me as I venture through this level. And then if I let it catch up to me, you know, it's game over. I'll take this moment and say, you know, if you're liking the stream, be sure to give us a follow on Twitch. We are streaming every Friday, at least until the game launches. This game launches on July 25th. And while, you know, I mentioned speedrunning earlier, we are still running a speedrun contest. You know, demo for Mr. Run and Jump from Next Best is still available. It's going to be available until Monday. So just be aware of that. If you're interested in playing Mr. Run and Jump, you still have a chance. You have a nice weekend. You can get in there, play the first world, check it out. And if you like it a lot, we are running a speedrun contest, like I said. It's going to end when the demo ends. So on Monday, we call it and decide the winners. But for each level, each of the 4 levels that are in the demo, the top 5 runners, if you take a screenshot or a video of you playing the time trial and you get a really good time, you know, the top 5 fastest runners will get a Steam key of Mr. Run and Jump when the game launches. And the fastest runner for each level will get a signed poster from me and some of the crew here at Graphite Lab. So still plenty of time to get into that. There's been some fierce competition. Someone's gotten down to like 52 seconds on 1-1. Grab that challenge orb. So you'd see with challenge orbs and the shards here, it's almost like we're playing Celeste with the strawberries and Crash Bandicoot with the crates all at the same time. Oh, here I think I said I wanted to speedrun this level. I've just been kind of... I'm getting my bearings, I guess. This bullfrog, I'll tell you. Maybe one of my favorite enemies in the game is those bullfrogs. I just think they're so cute. We'll get through this one run and then I'll activate the time trial and see how quickly I can do it. I forget what the current leaderboard is for this level in particular. I think it is like a minute 20 or something. I forget. There's been a lot of entries for 1-1. And this one maybe has the fewest entries. But I really like this level. I think it's not super long. And I think when you get into a good flow of it, it really goes. I know the void is threatening and scary, but you know, I played this level quite a few times, so I'm used to it. Here we'll see. There's our nemesis, you know, roaring, and we have the power gem here. We're going to charge its power and unleash and stop the void in its tracks. There we go. Casual run 2:16, not too bad. Let's do it again. Let's get into the time trial. This part's kind of like a roadblock section. Thought I could long jump past that skull, but wait, I could dive past. Get over that. High jump would probably be faster here. Ball here. Whoa. Past that guy. Ooh. No. It's alright. We're gonna beef it a couple times here, but no big deal. Could be faster than 2:16. As long as we do a little faster each time. Oh, you know, I guess I could check the leaderboard on this computer. We'll see. Last week's stream we had Matt Sinclair, who was QA tester on this game, and who is the person responsible for setting the platinum times. So we'll see what he was able to do last week and compare. Maybe we could beat his time. I don't know. No. Alright. So that's about a minute shaved from casual playthrough. 123. Skip that. see here. Oh, huh. The times must have reset. Okay. Well, 123 is going to be our benchmark. Silver orb, we need 120 for gold, so we got to shave at least 3 seconds off the next run. Let's see what we can do. We died twice, so if we can get through it without dying, that should be... Whoa! See, high jumping is faster up there, but it put me out of sync with the Skulkin there. I wound up beefing it there, but okay, we're still doing pretty good. That's a heartbreaker. Let's see. If we clean that up, we should be good. At least to beat our... What was it, 123? Final push. You know, this was this section right here was actually, I had kind of this idea, 114, not bad. I had this idea, I'm like, well, maybe, you know, I didn't want Run and Jump to be like a randomly generated game, but I had this thought of like, well, if I made like a kind of a down and dirty random level generator, maybe that could be fuel for level designers, and they could like randomly generate like a series of jumps and plateaus and just kind of this long string of nonsense that they then, you know, giving them kind of like a rough mound of clay that they carve into. I don't think we wound up doing much of that, but that little section at the end here, I think that is the product of me hitting the random level generator and taking that and then turning that into the kind of this fast, you know, heart-pounding section at the end. That's why it's like just random plateaus like that. But all right, so we got the gold orb, 110 for platinum, so another 4 seconds off that. We had kind of that heartbreaker death there in the middle. I think if we clean that up, we might be getting pretty close. Skip the cutscene. And let's go. I like that. I think that's pretty good. And if you can detach from the wall there, you fall a lot faster than if you're sliding on the ground or sliding on the wall like that. Do a long jump here. Catch these jerks. Oh man, not quite. I'm like, man, if I could just, oh man, we're here, check that out. We're gonna restart. Come on, tilt. Happy with this. Like that. Pretty good. Get past that. Detach. Okay. Doing okay. Hesitate for that guy. Get around there. Doing good. Okay, we'll get around this. You know, I could probably high jump over those spikes up top, and that would probably be faster. Like, do a high jump dive combo. But we're okay for right now. No. Didn't like the timing on that, but trying to maximize high jumps in this area. And then this we can just kind of let loose. Try and maximize long jumps here. Those are the fastest way to move. Ooh, I don't think we quite did better than last time. Let's take a look. Oh, we did, slightly. Okay, by 20 milliseconds. Here, we'll get a couple more runs. We'll try to get platinum. And then we'll kind of be at that hour mark and we'll wrap up the stream. Any questions in the chat while I'm just kind of, I guess I'm focusing on going fast. I might not be able to get to them, but anyone has any questions, we'll see what we can do, try to answer them. Yeah, I like this little combo here. It's just the Skull King gets in the way. Like jump, dive, fall through, dive through here, and then land on. That's good. Okay, yeah, here we go. Now we're talking. Jump over this. Okay. Jump here. We'll do this. Not bad, not bad. Get in that pocket. I know Matt Sinclair last stream was kind of doing like a weird dive over that skull, and that was pretty good. I don't think I'm quite good enough to get that. Oh, man. Doesn't look like we get the height and the high jump to get over that little spike island. We kind of have to wait for the Skullkin. There we go. Not too bad. Did it again. Just like that little combo of high jump, dash, double jump, dash. It gives you a good mix of forward and upward motion. Here, we've already kind of beefed our time. I'll just finish out this run. Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. That's okay. 133. Not even a gold time. Oh. It's alright. We'll give it another go or two. Let's see, I believe, I have faith. I think we can... get a platinum time today. Uh-oh. No, that's a hard... We need one more good run. I'm gonna just get out of there like that. Terrible. 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 See, I was trying to do the Sinclair maneuver. I was trying to bump my head up against kind of the low part of this little section here and then dive over the skull. You get like just enough room you can dive over the Skull King to do that. But you got to be really good. Like, yeah. If you don't clip into the next little cave there, then it's really fast. Trying to save it, couldn't do it. You're kidding. Heartbreaker. Wow. Well, here, we might as well just restart. There's no way we're beating our time with that. Here, I like that. different approach there. I think that was slightly slower, but that's okay. Very good. And we'll just kind of, good run so far, we'll just kind of play it safe there. Okay, feel good about this one. No deaths is always, I think, going to be a good time. Good. Here. Okay, final stretch. We're doing good. Get that platinum orb ready, baby. Come on. Hey, look at that. Platinum. Perfect way to end a stream. Beautiful. Look at that here. Let's just admire. 107 on the dot. Hey, you know, if you think you could do better, we still got, send us some proof. We're still doing that contest, like I said. You could win a free copy of the game. You know, what, I spent 5 runs and I got a platinum orb? Come on, you know, imagine if you spent 10 runs. You can do better. And just because I made the game, you know, doesn't mean I'm an expert at it, you know? But, anyway, we'll get out of here. Yeah, with that, we're kind of at our, you know, we've been streaming about an hour. We're gonna kind of wrap it up, but I want to thank anybody who's watching, and yeah, throw us a follow on Twitch. Like I say, we're doing this every Friday. Mr. Run and Jump game comes out July 25th, and it's not too late to play the demo. You got a whole weekend before the demo goes down on Monday, so check out our social media. You can get more info about all that.